What's up?
What's up, guys?
Hang on, I'm just gonna make sure I have my water so I'm not like clanging all over the place. Oh, just like that.
Boom.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. This is the Genius Podcast.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jeanine, and we got here
And I'm Tobias.
Tobias. We're, today we watched the movie called Ad Astra.
At Astra.
And it just came out. Did it just come out on Thursday in theaters?
Yeah, I think internationally it premiered on the Film Festival of Venice.
Yeah, that was back in August. August 29th, I think I saw.
Yeah, August, and then it aired in cinemas globally this Thursday, and I was super...
Today's Sunday, by the way.
Today's Sunday, yeah. But yeah, I was so eager to see it.
Oh yeah, we should probably say this podcast is going to have a lot of spoilers. Everything will be spoiled, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't watched the movie, I highly recommend it. Go watch it and then come back to this episode and have a little discussion with us.
I think it's okay. Like for sci-fi, to be honest, I don't care so much about spoilers because I also read the Wikipedia before, and you just want to
really about the
focus on the
experience.
story and the
Yeah,
characters.
that's true.
I think
Yeah.
just listen to our episode first and then watch it. You can do it either way.
Do whatever you want. If you want to be spoiled,
Yeah, just Get
treat
spoiled.
yourself.
give yourself a treat.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so I actually never knew anything about this movie. I think I'm very out of the loop in terms of like movies that are...
You read like pretty much when we are going to it. You read the summary, so kind of like
No, not
unprepared.
even. On our way to the theater, I was
Inside
like...
the theater.
No, yeah, on our way to the theater, I was still like texting friends. And then not until we were inside the theater, we were waiting for like the premieres, like what's it called? Yeah, the premieres to go through. And then like, yeah, it wasn't until then that I started to read about like what I was actually going to watch.
Yeah, but I read an article before, and since I'm such a big sci-fi fan, it seemed like the movie to watch this year for me.
Yeah, well, what were they saying about it?
They I just read the line sci-fi and Apocalypse Now like coming together a bit, which is like one of my Apocalypse Now Now by Francis Ford Coppola is still one of my favorite movies. It's based on the Joseph Conrad novel Heart of Darkness. It's more like a mystical journey or mythical journey from a guy who's going during the Vietnam War. He's exploring the jungle and the darkness, and that transferred into like space. Sounded to me like an amazing. Like I just read this line and I was totally amazed. I have to watch it because the last sci-fi movie that really blew me away was Interstellar. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And so I was looking forward to seeing it for the last days. I was pretty antsy and trying to
I feel like
getting prepared for it, reading some reviews also, and
I feel like a lot of pretty much all space movies are very much this like Heart of Darkness, kind of exploring this unknown and like having this idea of I don't know, leaving home and entering this like complete
this
jungle.
different realm.
Yeah.
But I think I would
Like this one's no exception.
categorize. So there are two main sci-fi classics. One is Space Odyssey, which is more about like the technology taking over. It's about like evolution. It's about the impact that technology can take pretty much on us. And the other one is more about the psychological effects of space and travel. It's more about, that is by Tarkovsky Solaris. So those two movies are the sci-fi classics. Like, I think you can really, like in a lot of movies that came after, they reference or they take that as a reference because they are so like important for the genre itself. And Solaris is more about like the psychological effects of space flights and the characters. So in most Tarkovsky movie, the character doesn't play such a big role, and it's more about like what like space, like Interstellar. Also, what does space travel do to you and your character?
Yeah.
And but getting back to the Ad Astra, how would you just like a quick summary? What is going on? Because I think the movie is really complex, and it's good to have a rough idea how the story unfolds.
Yeah. So this is where the spoilers come in.
Yeah, that's where the spoilers are.
Prepare yourselves. So we start off, okay, so we have Brad Pitt, which I actually didn't realize was Brad Pitt until like a few minutes later. I was like, he looks
Really?
like Brad Pitt. And then I was like, yeah, it is Brad Pitt. I was like,
Why?
he looks like Brad Pitt, but there's something about him that looked different. I don't know.
I think he made an amazing transformation
Yeah.
since he got this like more personal struggle. I think he's really grown as a person with that. I feel like he has much more
What do you mean?
appearance on like in his early movies, like 7 or so. He seems more like trying to show his like. I mean, he's physically is good looking, of course, but I think now he's really like this deep like he has something on screen like I totally admire about like his physical appearance, but also his what he like his expressions. Like there's something that changed, I think,
Yeah, I
within the
think-
last years.
I feel like he's always been like a very good actor, like a very good at like evoking emotion and stuff. Like was a big fan of Fight Club.
Yeah,
and
Fight Club was so
and
good.
like I didn't watch 7, but like me watching clips of like the movie, I like he does like an amazing performance in all of his
Yeah, then he did
roles.
all like the Coen Brothers movies, like Burn After Reading, a whole some more. I forgot the
Troy.
Troy. Troy was good. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
And then also, this movie reminded me of Terrence Malick's Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Because you have the whispers, so there is a kind of like you are more in the head of the protagonist by how he. So there's some like whispering going on where he's explaining his.
Thoughts.
His thoughts, what he's up to, and yeah.
I think there was a reason for this. So going back to the plot, we have
going
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is an astronaut,
Roy
and
McBride.
I'm just going to call him by Brad Pitt because, character names are kind of hard to remember. So yeah, Brad Pitt is an astronaut, and his father is this like legend in the space community because he was part of this project that they were looking for extraterrestrial life, and they had traveled past Jupiter, and like I think
wanted to go across the boundaries of our space solar system.
Yeah, and this was supposed to this was revolutionary. So
He's like a pioneer.
Yeah, he was the captain of this project, so he was like this pioneer, and now Brad Pitt is kind of like also a very. They established that he's a very good astronaut. He's very calm, very much like Neil Armstrong, and how I didn't watch this movie, but Ryan Gosling played Neil Armstrong in this movie called First Man from 2018, and I didn't watch it, but basically it talks about how it shows just how cool, calm, and collected Neil Armstrong was, and
his heartbeat never goes beyond like 80. He's like super calm.
Yes.
Like he always like in the beginning says like he puts all his emotions aside. He's very calm. He's focused. He has a bit of troubles with his family. Like he's alienated with his wife. He doesn't have kids. He is
who's played by Liv Tyler.
Yeah, Liv Tyler also.
Who was also in Armageddon, and she was the. Did you watch Armageddon?
Yeah, I watched it.
She was the daughter of Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
girlfriend of what's his name, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, a good movie.
It was really funny just like seeing her in the role because I was like, oh, Liv Tyler. Because like I also.
Did you really like her, right?
Yeah, because like I was a huge I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, so
Uh-huh.
she was like in that movie, and then so and like also just like having that association with her, and then also the dad of Brad Pitt is played by
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, who was in Space Cowboys.
Ah, yeah, right, yeah. So
And-
all the space and sci-fi.
and like Donald
coming together.
Sutherland, who's also in this
Sutherland,
movie. He was also in Space Cowboys, another movie I didn't watch, but you know I did my research. And yeah, it was just like a really good cast. And so continuing on with the story. So Brad Pitt's dad, Tommy Lee Jones, is this legend in the space community, and after this failed mission that Brad Pitt was working on, there was this energy surge or something like solar.
The electromagnetic waves coming to Earth, and they are kind of
Yeah.
danger. It's kind of like an allegory because like Brad Pitt in the beginning he works like the astronaut called Roy McBride, he works on the space mission, and then you see that the electromagnetic waves through the solar system come and hit the solar station. It's pretty amazingly done. Like you see, like they all fall down from pretty high
Yeah, that
altitude.
like the stratosphere.
Some die, and then he puts his parachute. But think about like these electromagnetic waves are connected to his father.
Yeah. Yes, you jumped ahead, but
I jumped ahead.
we were gonna get to that. But yeah, they are from his
Yeah,
father.
but that is.
I know. We wanted to get to that afterwards. That's okay.
No, but I wanted to mention this
Okay.
allegory first.
I know. I was trying to build suspense. But yeah, they're on this mission, and he ends up in this like I think a lot of people like died in that accident because they basically fell from the stratosphere, and he had to like deploy his parachute, and then the debris like tore away at his parachute, and I don't know why, but he didn't deploy his safety like you know how when you have a parachute, there's always like a second one. He didn't deploy that, but I guess that's.
Well, I never
There
thought
were a
about
few
it.
plot holes that I noticed that I was kind of like, I'm just gonna like
This is plot armor. Who cares?
this is clearly not the focus.
This is plot armor. It's
But yeah,
no comparison to Game of
the
Thrones.
shots were amazing though.
Cinematography amazing.
When he like goes outside and you see the first
It's like
view
Gravity.
of the planet, it was incredible. Especially when you see it in theaters because
I
you
love
just-
that. You have to watch it in theater.
I was, like,
Sci-fi
blown
is
away.
the genre that you have to watch in theaters. Still.
Yeah, it was really cool. I wasn't even sure like how they were going to depict Earth because I wasn't sure if they were going to make it kind of like an Interstellar where it was just like Earth is falling apart. We need to like find
with
a way
the dust
to
storms
yeah.
in the beginning. Yeah.
So yeah, but going back, so they have these energy surges that are hitting Earth, and it's causing a lot of problems. Like for example, this failed mission where a lot of people died because, and so they really need to figure out how to resolve this problem. And so after Brad Pitt lives, even though his parachute, you know. Didn't work. Bad things happened, but he was okay, and I think he was still psychologically like, he was a bit. I was a bit confused about the timeline, but I know that Liv Tyler was trying to like console him about like, you know, things that he's gone through, but he was just very emotionally distant.
Yeah, like he's in a way he has to be.
Yeah.
Because he has to be so focused on like the technology, like getting all like the measurements and the meters. So like this is what astronauts do. They have to be just super calm and super collected.
And that was kind of like the fall of their relationship. So they show like Liv Tyler leaving the house, like leaving her keys behind, and obviously it's like saying that she's leaving him. And he's kind of like, okay, well, I don't have a family anymore, so now I can focus on like my career. And he seems like a very career oriented guy, and he gets called in by the U.S. Secret Services or whatever.
Yeah, this space comm.
Yes,
It's
and
also interesting because they do like space comm. It's like usually like before it's still like the NASA, but now I think it's like a private enterprise, which has like in all other sci-fi movies, I think it's more like a state enterprises.
Yeah.
But here I think it's one of the first times where you've got a private enterprise that's kind of like SpaceX. It's trying to take.
So Elon Musk in a movie in his company. This is
Could be. I don't know, but it also doesn't matter so much. But yeah, he's like this project is aimed to resolve this the question of these electromagnetic waves, and so
They reveal
they're
that-
asking him if he can, because actually they want to use him. Or they ask him if he would be willing to join the mission, right? So
yeah. So first they tell him that they think it has to do with this project that his father was working on, and so did they pick him specifically because of like how well he managed, like how well he handled the situation of that accident, or
no, because he has his father. Like,
but what did they tell him? Did they tell him it was because of his father?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I mean. Like, it's no
Right.
spoiler. Like, they pick him because but he also said, like, he repeatedly says that they use him for trying to get the problem solved with his father, because they think that his father is still alive. But he says, no, I don't think my father is alive. And he has a very, like, also a cool thing, like how he kind of also a very new cool feature about sci-fi, that like technology asks him for, like they put his like pulse thing on his
like a little
on
sticker
his
thing.
neck, so they always measure his pulse.
Yeah.
And then they ask, like the machine, the AI kind of ask him, okay, are you in a good mood? What do you think about your father?
Yeah.
And does it cause you any trouble? So
Yeah.
like it really grills him on if he's ready to go on the mission, right?
Right. So they would always like measure his pulse and like ask him about how he's feeling. It was basically a psychological evaluation regularly, just to make sure that he's fit to do whatever mission.
Makes sense. I mean, look at people. Probably they also do it nowadays, or they always did it. But it's cool that also they have this feature, a machine is doing that, and not like a real psychologist.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go.
Yeah.
To Ad Astra, to the stars.
Yeah, Ad Astra comes from the phrase, it's like a longer phrase. It's Ad Astra is a shortened term. I wrote it down here. Let me find it in my notes.
So diligent.
I know. Oh, okay, it's from per aspera ad astra. So it's like
this is from the light to the dark, from the dark to
through the struggle, from the struggle, through the hardships to the stars.
To the stars.
So so it's a commonly used Latin phrase just to
Beethoven,
talk about.
he used it also.
Yeah, just to talk about how you have this goal in mind and you are willing to get to it, despite all the obstacles that come in your way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. That's cool.
So it's not just like, oh yeah, we're going to the stars. It's really like there are things that we have to go through to get to this destination.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a very cool side note. Like, because I really like the title already. Ad Astra is already it's a perfect title for a sci-fi movie. But having this background, it's even better.
Yeah. So he goes on this mission, and the first stop is to get to the moon. I love this scene.
That is that was
funny.
my favorite.
I found it so funny because, okay, here's the thing. This movie we watched it in German because the original movie's in English, but movies in Germany are shown in German unless they specifically say
Yeah,
it's
there are
shown in-
some exceptions, but usually
But
it's
today
German.
we watched it in German, so I believe I understand what's going on, but I might have missed a few details, so you have to correct me if I mess anything up. But yeah, so when they get to the moon, he first of all, he gets into the spaceship, and it was funny because there was just a guy who's kind of in his way, and he was just like, "Oh, excuse me, could you move over?" I was like, "Oh, shouldn't you I was like, if you're going to the moon, shouldn't you know who you're flying with?" And then they reveal that it's going to the moon was just a commercial flight.
Yeah, it's a commercial. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the lady who welcomed him in, she was just like, "Do you need anything?"
Do you need a towel? Or
Yeah, he's
a pillow and towel?
I think he's gonna
It's
get a
200
blanket.
bucks.
Yeah.
Or $120.
Yeah, so it's just as if they're on an airplane and
This one, the Spacecom is this is a private enterprise.
yeah, it was funny. And then they get to the moon, and the airport or whatever of the moon is just a standard airport. You have the delivery service in the distance. You see all those
and you know what Denny
Was it
says?
Subway in the background?
Yeah, Subway and DHL, the
Yeah.
German delivery company. Some small merchandise.
It's so funny. Yeah, some sponsors.
Sponsors.
Yeah, it was just really funny. And then they show kids. It was very establishing that they have already colonized
They
the
have
moon.
a photo machine there,
Yeah.
taking picture. I don't know what this a space puppet or what they're taking picture.
Oh
of.
yeah, just it's just
an alien?
Yeah, they were just showing kids who were taking pictures with aliens, haha, we're on the moon. I think it's one of those things where it's welcome to the moon, and they even had a sign.
Yeah.
Welcome to the moon.
Welcome to the moon,
And
yeah.
it was very as if
Over
you
the
were.
moon.
Yeah, it was as if you're entering any tourist area. I thought that was hilarious, and it was it was really well done.
Yeah, it was beyond fun. That is why I love sci-fi. Think about space flight is getting commercialized, which is
Yeah.
not so far off reality because we have 3 companies competing for commercial air flights: Elon, Richard Branson, and Jeff Bezos, with their respective companies, are trying to commercialize it. So.
Right.
I don't think it's that distant.
Yeah, in the movie, they in the beginning, they even say it's the near future. They don't say
Yeah.
it's
But
several
that's
hundred
ours.
years from
You
now.
have to say that is the side of the moon that faces us,
Right.
and the dark side of the moon
Right.
that is
Yeah,
where they said a few times that there is a war zone. So
Yes.
there is a zone on moon that is
full of pirates.
full of pirates and warlords, and then they said it is on Earth. There is
Yeah.
always destruction now with trying to get resources. I
Yeah.
don't know what commodities, probably something I don't know. Do they have silver or so hard metals or something they are trying to
Yeah.
extract probably from?
But yeah, it's basically just like in Earth, people exploring. You had pirates on the sea, and now you have pirates on the moon, and they had to get from the regular moon base to the base to set to take off to Mars, and on their way to this station, they get
It's a
attacked.
stop, it's stop by this is also this journey from one stop, from Earth to Mars to.
Yes.
It's also cool.
Yep. So it's Earth to the moon to Mars, and then so
Neptune.
on, and then to Neptune. Yeah. But yeah, it was.
They get attacked
They get
by
attacked,
the pirates.
and I pointed this out to Tobias. Should I mention it now or should I mention it later? The guy who got killed, the lieutenant.
No, I don't.
So I always find there's it's kind of it's an unintentional trope that in horror movies, for example.
Okay.
The first guy who dies is always the black guy. And it's a known thing in horror movies that it's often the black guy who gets killed first. And
But there is a black guy on Mars.
yeah, no, but
doesn't
in the
get
in the movie, the first character who has a name is a black guy and he's the first one who dies. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
I don't think this was I definitely don't think this was a conscious decision. But I was just all right.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not
It wasn't intentional. It was just an observation, as were the other observations that I made that I told you. So so they get bombarded. They lose. It was 4 people on little
They have
on a rover.
laser guns.
They had laser guns. It was like a little bit of
Cool,
Star Wars kind
purple
of.
guns.
Yeah, they had some laser
Purple and
guns.
yellow.
So there's like, yeah. So it was, I was expecting it to be a lot like Interstellar, but it was just like, okay, this is like very, like realistic.
Yeah, Interstellar is more realistic. I would say.
Realistic in terms of science fiction.
Unless you have got you think about like this cubicle that gets
Tesseract?
really the Tesseract, yeah, that gets more like metaphysical. But anyways.
Yeah, but that still has like, there are still, it still is based off of like stuff that Einstein has talked about and like this relativity and the dimensions and stuff.
Yeah, but in the end, Interstellar, they have this solution. Like he finds his girl who's his age, and then the solution is the love. So that is a bit cheesy, I would say.
Yeah.
But Interstellar for me was always amazing to see the real effects of space travel.
Yes.
When I forgot his name, Matthew McConaughey, and he meets, like he goes through all of that. You see like how then he goes to the different, like this water planet, and then he messes up his mission, and then he knows that like time passes there totally differently.
Yeah, that was
when
incredible.
he reaches his daughter, she's already on her deathbed, and
Yeah.
that is the amazing part, like to put that into pictures and illustrate how the real effects of like space travel on time and space, and that's the takeaway from that.
Yeah, that's the thing about like these space movies in particular. It's almost always, it's like space is kind of just like a medium to discuss the psyche and relationships, and like it's about being alone and being lost and trying to navigate your way through the world and in their own mind. I think that's why people who really enjoy space movies, they really. Are you a loner?
Yeah, it is true. Like there are a lot of like, also in Solaris, what I mentioned, it is about like people that are not in, like they are searching. It's like a soul searching mission. It's always like going to why would you go to space? Like you can be satisfied here on Earth. You have everything unless like the Earth is destroyed. But basically people like pioneers always have a bit of a problematic relationship with either their family or their father. That's why they go, so like they, like in Greek you call it pothos, or like Alexander the Great, who had this urge to always go beyond the boundaries of what they know. So Alexander the Great, he kept marching, he kept like through Asia, Middle East, until India. Like he didn't know what to expect. They thought the earth would end there. And that is the drive that also goes with most like sci-fi movies. It's about the like going across like the universe, like the Roy McBride's father. He like, why does he do that?
Right.
He's a legend, he's a brilliant guy, but why does he do that? That's the main question of all good sci-fi movies. At the center of the mission is always like something like, why do you do that? Is it like, are you running away or something like that? Or is it something that you cannot explain away, right?
Right. So the thing with like Brad Pitt's character is like, although he's this very cool, calm, collected, emotionless, what like really gets to him is this relationship with his father, and I think he always looked up to him. And Tommy Lee Jones is always like, okay, like I'll take. Was it something like he was promising him that he would like take him to space, or like there was always just like, he got his daddy issues. He was like trying to
daddy issues. Yeah.
He wanted to find a connection with him, and this is what drove him. Despite being this person that you think has no emotions, but he's very, very emotional.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the and the only way that you find out about how he feels is like these very, very intense close-ups of like Brad Pitt's face and like his like voiceovers, his narrations.
Yeah, the voiceovers. Yeah.
Did you know? Like I was
That's
like,
a perfect
I was watching like Brad Pitt's like nose a lot. He has a really cool nose.
Yeah, his like profile is amazing. Like,
I was like,
he looks a bit Dutch, I would say.
Does he?
Yeah, I think
He could be. I don't know. But he his face is cool. I was like, he has like a cool, his nose in particular. I was just like, I don't know. Side note, I like to, sometimes I like to draw portraits, and I really like to pay attention to people's features. So Brad Pitt's nose was like very interesting for me.
Yeah, you can try to paint Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's just the shape of it was just like really cool. I don't know. Anyways, that's just
From Brad Pitt's nose, going back to Brad Pitt's mission.
Yeah, back to his mission. So they get.
We're still on.
We're still on the moon.
We're
Still on the
yeah.
moon, and he is now on a team of, was it 4 or 5 people? I think 4 people. They're going to Mars now. This is the next stop. And along the way, they have this they come across like an emergency situation where they find the captain notices that there's like another ship or something, like another spaceship nearby that needs help. They have this SOS call, and Brad Pitt's like, no, I'm on a mission, and he can't tell what the mission is. Like this is top secret stuff, but he's like, you guys know that I'm on a top secret mission. I need to get to Mars. And they're like, no, we need to like these people are asking for help. Something to do with animal research. Is that what they were saying?
Yeah, that is also a kind of weird part with this animal. Like they are testing like primates. They are using them for research. And
I guess how they react in space or something.
Yeah, probably like they always
kind of like,
do the animal experiments in space.
Yeah, it's like that nod to
kind of like Planet of the Apes reference. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Could be. I don't know.
And also like Space Odyssey too.
Space Odyssey,
because it starts with the
with the apes and how they throw this like like the wedge, right? And then it's turning into a spaceship.
Right.
Maybe, just.
Also, like, I was also thinking of that experiment that they had with the dog that they sent out into space. Do you know about this one? I don't remember the name of the dog, but they had...
The Russians?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it the Laika?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
All I know is that there was a dog they sent out in space. The dog passed away, and they told the public that the dog died peacefully in her sleep, but actually... She wasn't peacefully dying. She was actually like terrified, and I think she might have like died from like panic, and like So like I think So I remember like that. I remember hearing that, and like that stuck with me for a while.
Panicking dog.
Yeah, so I was thinking of like
alone.
Yeah, because I was just like
spirits nobody has.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we just want to send out an animal to space and see what that's like. So yeah, they go they find out what the situation is with this spaceship, and Brad Pitt's character I think the 2 captains wanted to check it out. And then Brad Pitt was able to read the situation. He saw that one guy was pretty scared, so he was like, "Okay, I'll go with you instead of that guy." And they go. And as they're entering this spaceship, did you notice that like the sound was kind of like as if they were scuba diving? Like it wasn't space sounds.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
What I love about like space and like when they do the sound engineering, the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, the soundtrack.
So
Max
like
Richter is a.
Is he German or is it just a German name?
I didn't know him. But it seems there's a German.
Yeah. Well,
Max Zimmer, right? Hans Zimmer, not
Hans Zimmer.
Max Richter and
I think
Hans Zimmer. They are all Germans in Hollywood doing
the style. The style is still different.
It is.
It's still pretty different. You have like your classic like strings and orchestras and horns and stuff. But then when they were taking off from, I don't remember if it was from the moon. Yeah, when they were taking off from the moon, they had this like techno music. That was cool.
Oh, they had music also when they came. Okay, I'm jumping a bit ahead.
I know you're jumping ahead.
Okay. But they had a lot of like jazz. That is, I'm very.
The sound design was really cool.
That was amazing. Like when they this idea to have on a spaceship watching, I don't know what it was, maybe like swing from like you saw
I wanted to look up
African Americans in the 30s but it was so like the music is like swing.
I wanted to look up that reference because I was just like there has to be a reason why they showed that. We're jumping ahead. Let's go back.
Yeah, it's music.
Music. It was great. When the spaceship took off from the moon, it was like this kind of Tron, Daft Daft Punk kind of sound. That's why I was like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I love this. So it was just like very diverse in terms of music. They also had a good use of like silence.
Yeah, there was a lot of like Interstellar.
Interstellar was amazing for that.
Yeah.
Gravity was also good for that as well.
Yeah, Gravity was. But Gravity, I wasn't like Gravity. For me, was not so much about like story. It was more like the movies that struck with the effects. Like
Yeah.
that was.
Oh yeah,
like,
totally. I watched that one in.
Special effects are pretty cool.
I watched that one in IMAX, and like I feel like if you want to watch something in IMAX, like that one really, really paid off to watch in IMAX. Yeah, that was a good movie. So yeah.
Going back to
they're in the scuba diving sounding.
Scuba diving?
Yeah, because like I think you could really like read what was going to happen next based on the sound.
Yeah, the music plays always such a big role.
Because like they enter the spaceship and it's like you hear him breathing and it's like it sounds like he's scuba diving, and like when you're in the ocean you're not by yourself. There's something out there. So like when he entered that spaceship, I was like, this is not like, you know that it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
The coloring's also telling me something. I was like, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
And so they enter and they're trying to find out like what's the situation here, and you start to see like the captain, which I also need to point out.
Do it.
The guy, the captain who went with him, he's American. He's Puerto Rican, and I looked it up, and fast forward, he dies. But like before he dies, you see that there's like a floating rat, and you're like, okay, something's not right, and you see scratches on the wall, like, and like kind of like blood marks and like skid mark, like I don't know, scratching marks on the wall.
Marks, yeah.
And then Brad Pitt turns around, he's just like, hey, where are you? And he finds him, and it looks like he's seizing at first. Like I thought he was having a seizure or something.
Yeah. And
then it was revealed that like an ape, like this very wild looking.
That was how he looked afterwards.
Yeah, and then like he was like eating, like eating his face and stuff, and like, ooh. What I did really appreciate is that they didn't make it incredibly gory. Like you understood what was happening. Like you understood the severity.
They didn't make it gory. Yeah, it was
like obviously there was. You did see blood. And stuff, but it wasn't like, oh god. Like it wasn't this like. You didn't feel like sick looking at this stuff?
For a moment, I thought that I was just like praying not to make it too gory.
Me too.
I was like, no, don't destroy everything you build up. Or,
yeah.
Like the spaceships, the travel, it's so beautiful. But then don't make it too trashy. But
I think
it was just a moment, and then it was like still it has a valid reason to put it.
And I think it was really good that they didn't have this like kind of moment where he's just like, help. It was really just like, it was very much okay, this is happening, this guy is now dead, and he had to deal with this ape that's like flying in the spaceship, and he's trying to eat like Brad Pitt as well.
I think honestly, when I reflect on that, I think it's more like referencing to other movies, to make it more
like a nod to all these like past movies
like
made.
A bow to like the history of sci-fi or something. So
definitely. I was trying to like catch all the references. I did catch like a couple maybe. Like one to Caron's movie with like how they move around with like
the Caron, maybe.
With like how actually no, maybe it's a little bit different. Like you know how in
what do you mean, like when
for example in, is it Gravity? She uses like a fire extinguisher to like get back to the ship, and that's like a reference to WALL-E, which is another movie that Caron directed.
Okay. So always like references or references.
Yeah, I really like it when movies do that. It's kind of like if you're like for me, I only find out about these references because I like watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. The Gravity one that I did pick up though, but I really appreciate it when directors do that. Because if you're not like a regular viewer, you can still enjoy it. But if you are very like involved, it's like another level of appreciation.
It's cool because it shows some respect to what was there. You're putting yourself into this tradition.
Yeah. So yes, monkeys eating.
Still in the
Trying to eat Brad
Yeah.
Pitt. Brad Pitt has to shoot the monkey, and then he like tries to lock the monkey out as he makes his escape, and then space things happen and the monkey goes splat. I think that was like maybe the most gore that I saw was just like things going splat on the window.
splat.
Yeah. But yeah, there were no like shock factors like in it was also in Gravity when they would like suddenly have this jump scare of like some like frozen person coming onto the oh man I hate jump scares, so I was so glad that none of that happened in this movie.
Yeah, it happened like like for sci-fi there are
no jump scares. Everything that happened you like felt it coming, like you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Even that one moment.
I'm also not a big fan of jump scares. So like don't put it inside.
Yeah, don't
movies.
do it. It's like
there's a genre for that. It's called horror.
Yeah, but like even in horror I find that like jump scares it's a very cheap way of getting people.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of like you will definitely remember those moments.
Yeah.
But the danger is that they like cover the message, the ideas, the philosophy of the movie.
I think like it's fine to have like one here and there, but like I'm not a fan of them. I really appreciate the tension that you get from an atmosphere. More than just this like but because like I love how this movie really built up this like the music changes and then the lights strange.
It's like a Wagner movie, it's almost like an opera. Like you have the music, you've got the beautiful cinematography, and then you have got emotions and everything. So it doesn't have to be like shocking,
right?
Like it doesn't fit.
There's so many different like scenes. So they had it. Like there was just if you take like different snapshots of all the scenes that happened, they're just so diverse. First, when they're repairing like whatever at the stratosphere, you see the view of the Earth, which is green,
the white
and brown,
shots.
and like these bright,
And you see like there's a lot of dark space where you think, okay, like our Earth is so small, it's so like we are in such a big space.
Yeah.
You don't know. Also, like in terms of his mission, like you don't know if there is other planets.
Yeah.
Like that is what I kept thinking. Man, if you look at that on big screen, you see like. We have to take good care of our Earth.
Yeah.
Like that is also something where sci-fi really makes you think.
Yeah.
Like, do we have to travel to a different planet? Like, let's try to make our planet still habitable for our future. And then you get a feeling of like how dangerous it is. Like people say, okay, we can travel, but then you see these scenes, scenes also inside the spaceships, the rockets. It's so like tiny, and it's so like you feel like so like I felt sometimes really like claustrophobic, even like you know you're in these suits and you have to travel from one space to the other, from one place to the other, and it's so dangerous also. Like they travel how long to the moon? It gets also longer and longer, right? The period like first is like half a day or so, or how long?
I don't even remember how long it took for them to get from place to place.
The last one was 79 days to Neptune, so they must have like some special fuel. I don't know what. I
think one thing that
atomic fuel.
They never discussed like how they managed. They really do kind of like just trust us. It's the future. We figured it out. They don't go because like there was never this.
We have the propulsion or something like that. There's something like you can travel. Yeah.
There was never this like, oh no, we're running out of energy. What do we do now? So it seems like they really figured out, I don't know.
But traveling to Mars, I think it would be possible, kind of like already. And they are working on it. It's not like, but Neptune is already much far. Like that is where that is the farthest planet in our solar system. So that would take us with our technology probably like years still.
Right.
But we are on our way to Mars.
I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if you're talking about like modern technology or in the movie.
No.
Okay, so yeah, right. So like he manages to get rid of the monkey, brings the body back of the captain to the spaceship, and I should mention this. I was like, this is pretty awesome. The crew of this team was like, it was Brad Pitt, another white guy, a Puerto Rican guy, an Asian guy, and a black woman. And I was just like, this is awesome. There's diversity in this crew. And I was
Diversity
I was
in
actually really
sci-fi.
excited because, like, I don't know, I think it's like something that people don't really think about consciously, but once you're kind of aware of like how much diversity there is in movies, I appreciated that they had a very diverse cast. He wasn't like the main character was like a white male, but I think it was a step forward, so that was nice. Until later, I will talk about that in a bit. So on their way to Mars, they're approaching Mars, and it's obviously very different from the moon. It's like windy, dusty.
Yeah, and it's also, you get the feeling of how dangerous such a space
Also very beautiful.
station. Yeah, like the shots are really
And
nice.
then it was just like, as they're about to start landing, it's like, boom, another electric wave from Neptune is like hitting them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, Brad Pitt needs to save the day.
Yeah.
And he's his...
For humanity.
Yeah, and like everybody's like, help, help, help. But Brad is like cool and calm, and he's like, I don't have any emotions. I can control the ship. And he lands it without a hitch.
Yeah.
I think a part of it was like kind of funny how well everything went for him, but I like obviously.
But why? He's like one of the best astronauts already before, so he can do that.
Yeah, right? I know. It was just funny because I find that a lot of movies focus on how difficult a task is, but in this movie, it was very much no, he got it. Like he's fine. I just found
with that I did not even think about it.
Yeah, like because I thought about it with like. With Interstellar, like they had that, they had the trouble of like docking.
Yeah,
onto,
okay. In Interstellar, it's one of the main scenes.
Yeah, and like, they all had like
they're like spinning like the station.
Yeah,
wheel.
so like being how well they can, like there was so much effort into like, okay, can we dock this spaceship?
Yeah.
And here it was just like, oh no, it didn't dock, so let's just get out and transfer. Or like, oh no, we have a power surge, so let's just land it manually. So I thought that was funny. Like obviously you have to suspend your disbelief for this movie quite a bit compared to other movies.
Yeah, but
that wasn't the focus of the movie.
Yeah, it's only the focus of Interstellar and of Gravity, where I've got these long scenes, like in Solaris and also in Space Odyssey. There's not so much about like the complications of like okay, a bit of like Space Odyssey when
I guess they just didn't want to like I don't know, run it dry. But like, yeah, we get it. Like, space is difficult. Let's move on. This is not this is not the focus of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe like other movies have already done this, so we can.
Yeah, there are a lot of like movies that focus on like work outside in space.
Yeah, it's like this.
Phrase
is
it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Going out, being in your suit, and repairing something on your station. So that is an established thing already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they finally make it to Mars. They land. And he arrives there, and he finds out that they're kind of like so first he gets welcomed by the guy who was in Far Cry, the one who was, I don't remember the actor's name.
Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland.
No. Is it the guy who, I'm talking about the guy who was like...
The welcoming guy.
The guy who was recording... Oh, no. It's like the vibe was totally different. They arrive Mars, and like the secretary or whatever, she has like disheveled hair, and she has like eyeliner and stuff, and it's just like a very different like it's like very like late. Do you remember? She's like laid back. It's the scene's all orange and stuff and red from Mars, but she was just like, yeah, whatever, come in. There's like a bit of graffiti on the wall too. There was a Canadian flag. Did you see it?
Oh no, I haven't paid attention to it.
I saw it. But if they get there, he's greeted by the guy who was in Far Cry, the one who was like who played the cult leader. And I feel bad that I forgot his name. He had his like classic man bun, so like it was just like a very different vibe. They seemed a lot more casual almost.
Ah, yeah.
And they take him into this soundproof room, and they get him to record messages to send to his father.
Yeah.
And he realizes that they just got him there so that he could send these messages. They didn't want him to continue.
Yeah.
They
Here he realizes that they used him and they want to send him back.
Right.
Then, but I think he knew from the beginning that they just use him because he's a son.
Yeah,
right?
they just want to use that like emotional component. Question: why didn't they just send those messages from Earth?
I don't know.
So they got him to send messages from Mars to Neptune to try to contact his father. And he was obviously devastated because he was just like, no, I want to go to Neptune.
They had a certain time when they could record it. I figured like they could send it during a certain time.
Maybe. I don't know.
So he sends the messages.
Yeah.
Then also what I really like, he's in these rooms.
These comfort rooms.
Yeah, the comfort. Oh, that is also like it's kind of like
It's funny 'cause-
shifting wallpapers.
Yeah.
It reminded me of this Cloud Atlas where they are in different like.
Oh, I
in
didn't
this-
watch Cloud Atlas.
Okay. Anyways, it's just like the space atmosphere, how it could be. You imagine how could it be to have like a mission on Mars. I think they said like 10,000 people would live there or so. So it's like a small town or so, but you don't get to see a lot of that, right? So it's not like
I never even saw like anything about civilization in Mars there.
yeah, they don't show it like
It seemed like I had the impression that it was there was like nobody there. Although there was an actress there. Her name's Ruth.
Bruce.
Last name was Nega.
Yeah.
So she was like born on Mars.
Yeah, in the movie Hell Atlantis.
Yes, and she was saying how like she was born on Mars and she'd only been to Earth once.
There was also a cool conversation that they had.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then they find out.
They find out that that like although so they know that the mission like these power surges are coming from this project from Tommy Lee Jones from like Brad Pitt's dad, and he finds out that Tommy Lee Jones actually killed everybody on his mission.
Yeah.
Because they realized that there was no extraterrestrial life, and they're like, okay, we have our answer, let's go home. And he was like, no, we need to keep going.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to go back to Earth, and he wanted to continue, and since they were stopping him from completing his mission, he killed them.
Yeah, and like Hell Atlantis, like this contact person.
Yes. Her father, did she say?
Yeah, I think
Her father was on that mission, meaning that his father killed her father, and she was saying that they are both the victims of this mission. That was like I felt like my stomach sink when I felt like this movie like took me on an emotional roller coaster because
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I had no idea what I was going into watching this movie. I was just like, yeah, it's like a sci-fi movie. Like I like sci-fi. But yeah, like because they had built up so much about how Brad Pitt really looked up to his dad and everybody like admired him.
Yeah.
He was like a celebrity in the space space world. And then to find out that he like murdered everybody for the sake of this mission. And it's just like finding out that your father has done something so inhumane, it's just like heartbreaking to kind of have this image of somebody you admire just like crumble.
And they even say, like one scene before, they say, when he gets into the spaceship, they say, you're the son of, you're the McBride. And they still admire him. So you feel, they also mention that he's like the best, like he's the best astronaut in the universe, like in the solar system.
Yeah, so everybody like loves him, and then he finds out. But you know what? Maybe because like after he finds this out, he sees that the crew that came with him to Mars are now leaving Mars to go to Neptune. So they're gonna go on this mission to like neutralize I guess,
Yeah.
his father, and to nuke. Is that what their plan? Is that what the entire plan was? Like to go to Neptune and like nuke the ship?
Probably. I don't know if they want to nuke it, but
They wanted to resolve the problem.
They think that he's behind these
Yeah.
electromagnetic waves, so they.
Yeah.
But they are not sure. But they connected to him.
I'm wondering if maybe when they arrived Mars, that's when they revealed that he also killed everybody on that mission, and they had found out. Because it was like one of these like betrayal things where he thought that the company was like helping him find his dad.
Yeah.
But it turns out they were just using him to get contact with his dad. And then they did after like, and I think at first he was sending very like dry messages like, "Hello,
Yeah.
this is your son, Brad Pitt."
Yeah.
And then eventually he'd be like, "Dad,
Yeah.
it's
then
me."
he makes it so emotional. It's me.
And then
I miss you.
Yeah,
I
and then
remember
he
it, so-
sees that did he respond to them? Because they reacted differently. They're like,
They
"Thanks."
reacted,
you got
yeah,
it."
I think that he's saying something back.
So,
like,
yeah,
he
so he's-
he was in the studio and he saw like he.
They
could-
reacted differently.
Yeah, he knew that he replied.
Yeah. So, did you the sound recording booth that he was in? It looked like a laser tag.
Yeah, they had the
arcade. the soundproofing walls,
the walls.
it looked very much like a laser tag like place.
like
This
the
is some-
curtains or something.
yeah, that was just something I noticed, and also
It's a
that
bit improvised, but I like that
Yeah.
because you get the feel that Mars is. It's not like the far away you get from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is like getting really like they are pirates. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is really like this not established societies.
Yeah.
Like they are. You don't know these. You look at these people and they are all like unrooted in a way. Like
Yeah.
that is probably like the first generation
Yeah,
born
it seems
away
like- yeah.
that this contact person Helen that you might also mentioned
Mm-hmm.
they are like in a way like the first that were not born on Earth, but
Yeah.
they seem very lost still
Yeah.
in space somewhere, like on a space station and on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get more deeper far away.
Right. So he finds out that they're going to go on this mission to neutralize Tommy Lee Jones, and they're not going to let him go just because of like conflict of interest. And so he has to stay until he's psychologically fit to go back to Earth.
Yeah.
And I think he wasn't able to go just because he was so like not traumatized, but just like totally shocked by.
Yeah, first time his pulse got really
Devastated.
high.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And they're just like, "No, you're not fit to go back." So he's just like, "Ah."
Yeah.
This room, this comfort room that he's in, by the way, comfort room in the Philippines means the bathroom or the toilet.
Okay.
So, but it was in German, so I don't know what they called it.
Yeah.
Comfort.
Komfortraum.
Yeah. But
Chill-out-Raum.
it would remind me of that episode of Black Mirror. You know, like with the bikes, and they have to like ride their bikes, and then when they sleep, it's like in this room. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But with cloth instead of TV screens. So he finds out they're on this mission, and when he like calls out their name, you can tell that something has changed. Like they
Yeah.
don't see him the same, and he talks to Ruth Nega, and she says that like that she understands where he's coming from, and she agrees to take him to like this place where like to a sewage point or something. I don't know what that was, but somehow like she was helping him.
She helps him, yeah.
She helps him
That's
get
the main
to
point.
she helps him sneak onto the rocket ship to get to Neptune. And so she drops him off, and he climbs through this like sewage system. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like,
I was
knew-
confused as to what was going on.
Then he was underwater. For
He was
a reason.
underwater, and then he manages to sneak into the
Yeah,
spaceship.
he's all of a sudden.
Their visors are cool. They're
Huh?
like the gold visors.
Oh, that also the visors on Moon, they were also amazing. Like the effects, like the reflections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some really cool cinematography
Yeah.
there also.
So yeah, he sneaks on, and they find out immediately that Brad Pitt is on the spaceship, and they have to neutralize him. And unfortunately, so like he tries to tell them that like he's not there to harm anybody. He just wants to be on that. He just wants to be there, and but in the process, because they have to neutralize him or basically like kill him, he has to protect himself, and then in the process, everybody gets killed.
Yeah.
The first people who get killed are the people of color. Once again. And in the end, there was one guy who he tried to save. Like, he didn't want anybody to die.
Yeah,
first of
he had
all.
good intentions.
But like at one point, one of the pipes got like a tank got shot, and it had some sort of like poison gas in it. And it basically like killed everybody because they weren't wearing their suits. He was wearing his suit. Even if he tried, like when he tried to like give somebody a mask, it was too late. So everybody died, and he had to like deploy their bodies out into space. So now he's on this mission to Neptune all by himself.
Yeah, he's alone. That's also important later.
And he's filled with like guilt because he says like, I feel like I've disappointed everybody.
Yeah.
Because all he wanted to do was just like, he wanted to do his job. He wanted to find out, like, fix this problem with what's happening on Earth and reunite with his dad, and all of a sudden everybody's dying, like all on the missions that he's going with, like from the very beginning, since leaving Earth, or even on Earth, people died. And then on the way to the moon, or at the moon, Donald Sutherland, the guy from Space Cowboys, he dies. I feel bad if I get the names wrong, but yeah. He dies like in that pirate attack. And then on the mission to Mars, the guy who got eaten by the monkey dies. And then now all the rest of the crew dies on the way to Neptune.
You feel how dangerous it is.
Yeah,
that is also a cool feature of the movie.
Yeah,
in general.
I think this is the point where I started to not see it as just a mission or like this relationship between a father and son. It really started to become a very psychological, like mental, just kind of like this mental struggle of what people go through. Like it's like when you feel that all your actions have hurt other people.
It's like Murphy's Law. Everything goes wrong.
Yeah, but like also just like psychologically, I think, like for me, I connected with it just like from a depressive point of view, because it's like this feeling that you've just disappointed everybody, and now you're on this mission, and you're just like, why am I going forward with this? And that I feel like this kind of feeling emanated throughout like the rest of the movie. I think that's why I really, really connected with this movie.
So you also said a couple of times that you feel really like the emotions of the movies made you like you felt something where you, because some movies you watch and like
like there's a relationship between like two people and you're like they want to like fix their problems, fine, but like this one I felt like obviously there was like a very, for me, there was like a very personal, like deeper, and like
that's a sign of a masterpiece, I would say, when there's an element in it that you can connect to. I would say so. Yeah,
and like I was thinking of like friends too who are like going through rough times, and like I think like a lot of people have those moments where you feel like, why am I even like what's keeping me going? And I think it's just like trying to figure out what your objective
so you can
is.
Connect from your own personal life also to the space travel, maybe something.
It was like I was in space.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so like he's on the they kind of do a very like fast forward from Mars to Neptune. Easy. He passes by
McDonald's. I don't know.
He passes by Jupiter. Jupiter looks amazing with its stripes and that spot. Passes by Saturn. And then wait, what does Uranus come before or after Neptune?
There's a saying.
I know, but I keep forgetting. Like
in German, mein Vater erklärt mir jeden Sonntag unsere 9 Planeten.
So,
Also
Uranus.
unsere Uranus, 9,
Yeah.
Neptun, Planeten.
Okay, so I guess maybe I always feel funny like saying Uranus just because of the jokes.
Okay.
Uranus.
Uranus.
Uranus. So I guess like what are the chances that you're gonna come across all the planets in line? I was like, I think it's not realistic to see all the planets on the way to, they're not all in the same line. So
Yeah, but they are super big. Like, they are the biggest planets.
yeah, but the solar system is also huge.
It is, but I think Uranus...
No, but
Uranus is so big.
thanks.
Uranus is so big you can see it from Mars, from Saturn.
Thanks, Tobias. But just like think if you're going from like Mars to Neptune, like what are the chances that you come across all the other planets? Like
Don't know.
of all like anywhere else they could be in their orbit, you just happen to pass by Jupiter and Saturn.
Yeah, but that's gravity. Like, you would... that they're all
Do you
in
know what I
line.
mean?
Okay, yeah.
Like they all happen to be.
Yeah. I didn't think about it. Like, I don't know.
So, anyways, they saw those planets. They looked great, and then they reached Neptune, and was there like another surge? I found it kind of funny.
What?
There was like another power surge as he was approaching Neptune. And
Yeah.
so like anytime they're trying to like land, there's like a power surge from Neptune that emanates, and it's just like, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
So like he tries to dock onto the ship, he can't. So he's just like, okay. Whereas in Interstellar was just like, oh no, this is catastrophic if we can't dock.
Yeah,
this time it was just like, oh no, it can't dock. Okay, I will just abandon this ship and
Take the
and just
small,
jump.
like, cap.
Yeah,
or,
he's like in a
the
capsule thing.
Capsule. Yeah.
Yes. So, but he gets inside, and this part was really eerie. So he enters the ship, and he
Yeah, that was
first
also one of my favorites.
first thing he sees are like the dead bodies of the other crewmates that his father murdered, and what was going on? There was like a guy with like with a bag on his head.
Yeah, I
That
didn't
was messed
really
up.
get it, but I feel here comes also this reference to Apocalypse Now. So
Maybe.
in Apocalypse Now, he like the Connor, they're looking for this Colonel Kurtz who gone completely mad. He kind
Right.
of established his own microstate somewhere.
Yeah.
And he has got like people working from him. He's kind of like a semi-god. Like, they're all around him, and he's completely like Marlon Brando. He plays this guy in an amazing scene, and it's comparable then when you meet Tommy Lee Jones or Roy McBride's father, so respectively. It's kind of messy. The station is messy. You've got this, what I meant, like the jazz is playing.
Yeah,
which is like an amazing.
Okay, yes.
Like, where's the connection? But there's no connection. Why is he listening to jazz? Like, like somewhere there's a screen and you hear the jazz music, but it's just amazing.
Yeah,
it's
so
like in a what is it, like Duke Nukem, like an ego shooter movie or something like.
Yeah.
But it's eerie. Yeah, it's very eerie.
It's like kind of like only somebody who's very heartless could pull that off. Like, you have this cheerful music, and then but then you have all these like dead bodies floating around, and that was like really creepy. And then I don't know what this was like. So they had it was like what Tobias was describing earlier. It was like these like two black women dancing this kind of I don't know what that style is called. Like from like the 1930s, like the kind of like that flapper girl kind of like style. Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, but it's like very cheery, and like this, it's like very bright, like juxtaposed with these. Like
the contrast.
Yeah,
the juxtaposition is a.
Yeah, I felt like really
contrast.
like I was like, ooh, spooky, and I was always like wondering like why they. I was really wondering why they showed that clip. I want to look into it. Hopefully somebody else will find out why they played it.
I think they.
I can't tell if I'm just like pulling out all these like race references, but like I don't know. No, but just because like I was thinking of like how like I'm not doing it on purpose, but like it's just like how did they like kill all the colored people first before any of the white people died? I thought that was weird.
Plot armor.
I don't know. Anyways, so like moving on, they get to the like more of like where they were living, and then he finds his father's like sleeping bag with like his name on it, and then like you can tell that he's like slightly going insane.
Yeah, he's kind of insane already.
And like that's like really creepy because you're just like, this is somebody that you looked up to, and then all of a sudden first you're like, oh no, they're a murderer, and like, oh no, they're like crazy.
Yeah.
And because first you see that he was like going through data, and he was just like look through.
Yeah, he wanted to calculate like positions still. So you get the feeling like he's still
like a mad scientist.
He's a mad scientist. He's looking still for extraterrestrial life somewhere.
And then
though he knows like for 16 years. That he says that it's already his home there. Like he doesn't want to go back to Earth.
Right. But before you even see him, like you don't see him until later. But like even when he's still in the like cockpit area, like you see this National Geographic magazine cover.
Yeah,
and it was just like, is there life on Earth? And then there's like, yes, like written, like vandalized on top of it.
Yeah, you probably.
And it's just like, and it's just like this guy's like crazy because it's just like, when you.
He has no mission anymore. He knows he failed.
But he refuses.
There was this mutiny against him, kind of like small rebellion. They wanted to go back to their families, but then he even says, okay, I never really wanted to be with your mom and your dad, with you and your mom, and your small ideas. So like there was like, okay, he accused them of having small ideas, and here's the guy with the big vision or whatever. Like he's trying to be the explorer, but he doesn't acknowledge that he also failed because there was no like life science or whatever he's been looking for.
Yeah, and it's just like really heartbreaking too, because it's like it was his father, and he was just like, I want to like see him and like bring him back home, and then to find out that like his father didn't even care about him. Like all these like themes that were going on, I was just like, oh man. And then but he agrees, he convinces him to take him back to Earth, and he was like, okay, we're gonna go back. So he finally manages to suit him up. You can tell he's very, very hesitant. He's like, as Brad Pitt is reaching out to like hold his hand, he's retracting, and he looks terrified. But he finally manages to convince him. Brad Pitt sets off this like this countdown bomb to destruct in like 3 hours, plenty of time. And so they don't have a ship, so they have to somehow manage to get back to Brad Pitt's ship. And as they're leaving, the music starts to play, and they focus on Tommy Lee Jones's face, and you know that there's something wrong. And then he takes his opportunity to try to deploy himself. He like shoots himself away, and he catches Brad Pitt Brad Pitt is like kind of like connected to him via like through a wire,
mosh pit,
through like a cable,
mosh pit in space.
Yeah, so like he's just like, I don't want to go, so you're coming. Well, not you're coming with me. He's just like, this is my chance to get away.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is trying to like calm him down and take him back to the ship, and his dad is just like, no, just let me go. And so Brad Pitt clearly doesn't want to let go. Like he's panting. You can tell that he's like worried, and this is definitely not in character of like what you usually see from Brad Pitt. He's no longer calm. He's totally distressed. He doesn't want to lose his dad, but he finally lets him go. But
that also nice, because I think what I liked about, for instance, that scene, first you can see the faces like that emotion, like both faces, but they didn't stretch the scenes. Like
No, that was good.
that was amazing. Like they these scenes in other movies, they would have made it like quadruple the time.
Yeah.
Like they are like circulating around each other. Like, no, let me go. No, you should say blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But they made it very realistic. It was not like it wasn't like overstretching like your patience. Like, okay, like he obviously you see like he doesn't want to go back.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to like reinforce that like,
No.
moment by
Yeah, 'cause
stretching it.
I think they really trust the audience to understand how things were. So there's just like
Yeah,
the
that
audience.
was really good.
The
Yeah.
audience already understands that like like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And he just has to make the decision. And I think also Brad Pitt's character, he already knows that like there's no sense in trying to convince him to come back if he doesn't want to come back.
Yeah.
So he has to let him go, and it is devastating for him when he does it. But fortunately he's able to like go back to like he's not stuck in space, fortunately, even though I was like, well, they're both like gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like,
But he manages
Difficult.
he manages to use his jetpack to get back, so that was good. And so after this tussle, he gets back to the ship, and now he has to manage to get back to his own ship on his own. Yeah, and then he starts to question himself. He's just like, well, everything has kind of like gone to pieces. Like he had so many people have died on this trip. He's planted this bomb, but now his father's gone, and he asks himself, he's just like why am I doing any of this? Like what's the point anymore?
yeah.
And
Again, these whispering voices,
yeah,
pretty
it's just
cool.
kind of like why should I even bother to go back to Earth, I guess. And yes, but I guess he keeps going because he needs to make a life for himself back on Earth, I suppose.
Yeah, but you had one of the final scenes. He sees his wife. Like he's not, like he loves her.
He learns to have an appreciation for his life
he
on
gives
Earth.
himself like now a try. Like he knows
Yeah.
that there is somebody for him,
Yeah.
and I think that they are maybe. They're getting back together. I don't know. Maybe he's getting arrested for the stuff that he did.
Yeah,
I was also thinking.
I was thinking of that.
Like,
Okay,
what is
wait,
going on?
But before we even get there, so he has to get back to Earth, and then like he has to like go through Neptune's like rings. So he like somehow launches himself from like a satellite,
Yeah.
and then he was like, I'll just take this piece of satellite and use it to protect me against these asteroids or like these these rocks.
Whatever.
I was like, okay.
That's plot armor. Like, who cares? Like, he manages to get through the rings.
And he manages to to catch his he jumps from like the ship, and like of all chances of all he manages to calculate perfectly how to get back to the ship.
He's a hero. Let the heroes do what heroes do.
I know, but it was just like funny how everything like went perfectly. Like I get it. It wasn't the point of the movie. Like,
but the movie didn't have so many of these moments.
No.
Maybe one or two.
yeah, just one or two. But yeah, no, he manages to get to his
You
ship.
haven't watched the Game of Thrones, so like that is.
I know. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing it out. He manages. Okay, so he lands back on Earth, and you know what? I was expecting people to be like, "Okay, you're under arrest for like murdering people," like because they don't know what happened. Like all they know is that they were supposed to go on a mission, and now they're all dead. So like they're just like, you probably just like went onto that ship and killed everybody. They don't know anything. So like I thought they were just gonna go arrest him right away.
Yeah, but probably. I mean, he didn't do any of that on purpose.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
They don't know that. It's true, but I think they wanted to show that there is a redemption arc here.
Mm-hmm.
Like he suffered. I think the main point is to make this journey like this kind of like archaic journey, like a mythical journey. What I mentioned in the beginning, in the beginning you feel the father's pulses to him, which is a really nice allegory when you think about it. In the beginning, like he's working on the space station, he feels his father, he goes there, he has to go through all of that struggle, even like he gets guilt on his own, but maybe he gets the redemption now by like being good to his wife, and being, that can be kind of like a cathartical moment, that there is some hope if you looking for your family and your loved ones, and then you can that's just would be an idea how to resolve what he did.
Yeah.
But like, I find it interesting because he wanted to be different to he wanted to reunite with his father, but then he also wanted to be different, of course. But then stuff happens to him, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he is kind of similar to his father.
Yeah.
But he has this. There is a sliver of hope that he doesn't end up like his father, because he sees his wife. That's how I would interpret it.
Yeah.
And it's cool because they don't show everything. There is not like a true like happy end or something like that. There is a kind of like happy end, like Interstellar, when like Matthew McConaughey goes back with his daughter.
Yeah.
But there is no definite resolution. You have to make your own.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Choice, or how you see it, and if you like it or not.
Yeah, like they didn't end being like, what's gonna happen next? It's more of just like he finished his mission, and now who's to say what's gonna happen on Earth? But now that's up to him. I think it's more of like he has learned that he has to be able to communicate with his wife, and like she still cares about him and he cares about her, but I think just like he doesn't know how to open up to her. And
but like he has this conversation with this machine at a certain point, then he always has to like pass these psychological tests where the machine asks him something about like, how do you feel, and then he tells the machine, he tells the true story, like he feels alienated by his father and that is worrying him, and so something in the lines. And that's also like pretty telling, like he does have emotions. He says to himself that he doesn't have emotions, like his father also says that, but you can see on his face that there is a bit of regret on that. And I think in the end, he goes back to Earth. But when you think about the casualties like his father caused with like this mutiny, like he killed people, and then this in the course of the mutiny there was a atomic reaction that got back to Earth, where I think they had like 40,000 people died. So Roy McBride, or Brad Pitt, he manages to solve the situation. He killed people, but he also saved a lot of people.
Yeah.
Still. So from this utilitarian point of view, he did something good, but from like this other, what is not the ethical school, theological thing, where it's about your own guilt, probably he of course he loaded a lot of guilt on his.
Yeah, I think there are definitely like, how can you not walk away from that like perfectly fine? I think like it didn't really end happily ever after. Like, of course he solved the mission and he is going to try to work on his relationship with his wife, but like how do you, I don't know, like I don't know if he's still left with the guilt of like, if that still affects him with all like the death that has happened with this mission. There's not really like, you're not sure what's going to happen next. All you know is that you just have to keep going, and I think that was the message. Like, even if everything ended up horribly, and you're kind of left in the situation of like, okay, well, like, what's the point now? I think you just have to keep going and slowly find purpose for yourself. I think those are like the parts that really resonated with me, where it's just like what's the point now? But you have to keep going.
Yeah, I totally liked it. It's an amazing movie. Brad Pitt is definitely ripe for an Oscar with that. And I think what I learned also, or what kept me really worrying, is when you see the effects of space travel again, like the stations, how hard. Like now, people, like all the visionaries are dreaming. Yeah, we colonize Mars or the moon. It's not that easy. Like look at it, like how hostile these planets are. There's no like atmosphere here.
And it's just like the unknown.
Yeah, and then they say like the people that live there, they say, "Oh, I've been to Earth and it was so beautiful." Like then they show all these pictures in the comfort room. They're like waves. They're all scenes from Earth.
Earth, yeah.
And so yeah, like space travel is fine. Going somewhere else is definitely a human trait. You always want to explore and pioneer, but it's also you get the feeling of how important it is also to keep our planet livable. And yeah, that's especially now with all like the climate change happening. It's a good movie to resonate or to think about like what how we are acting here instead of going somewhere else. I think the main thing would be to be better, more living more sustainable, living treating ourselves better than like just yeah we go to colonize the moon, because that definitely won't be that easy, even
Right.
if geoengineering makes it possible. Like it's
Yeah.
very risky, like it's still very risky, I would say. At least not with like within the next 100 years or so.
Yeah, that's true. There was this big focus on like yeah, like you have to still protect the earth that you have there. Like, of course, they already colonized the moon and they had Mars that was slowly being colonized.
Yeah.
But I think there was still something to really appreciate about Earth, and that how, like, they couldn't find any extraterrestrial life. So they were
Yeah,
the
they
only
couldn't
people
find-
that they had. So I think they have to be like, we can't just look at we have to take care of ourselves, and like we need to take care of each other instead of always just trying to seek out something that's like might not actually be there.
Yeah, there is a cool scene that I remember where when he reaches the moon for the first time, he says, "Man, this is like there's like merchandise, like moon shirts, or like they're selling stuff, you have Subway." And then he says, "Oh man, this is exactly where my father was running away from."
Oh yeah.
So that's why he wanted to explore it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like you get the feeling like he's an explorer in a way. You admire him, but then also I think it's a slight criticism of like capitalism trying to like they also have this line, we wherever we go we always like we're Earth conquerors or something like say something like that. So they always put the same system like from planet to planet, but
Yeah.
it doesn't change.
This kind of
you.
like consumerism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, like the
So-
further away they got, it was like you're no longer. Yeah, because even when they were in Mars, you weren't bombarded with this whole. Oh yeah, we're like full of like we're trying to sell merchandise, and
Yeah.
it's not like welcome to Mars. It was
Yeah.
really just like it was a completely different station.
Yeah, it's completely that was amazing.
But you don't get that impression on Earth, at least. They never really showed that Earth is this. They didn't really show that many humans on Earth, did they?
No, not at all. But I think you can. It was also clever because, like, you've seen like Earth in Blade Runner or these movies, how like Cyberpunk always shows like how in the 30 years everything is messed up, like big
Yeah.
cities all destroyed by storms or whatever. Like, so you know how it could look. I think the movie is very much based like a very like a psychological tale on yeah, like a guy looking for his father, looking for recognition. It's more like classical daddy story,
Yeah.
made in space, amazing effects, and very focused, not overstretched, bit of plot armor, but still like, yeah, masterpiece. Amazing movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the bomb does explode and the thing, goes to pieces. So they saw the problem.
Oh, okay. They solved the problem. Okay, we haven't mentioned that.
Yeah.
Now you know that.
I feel like, because I think that part was really. It was just a medium to tell the story about these space stories, like I said before. Like, it's not really about this. It's not really about this adventure of like, okay, we got to turn off that wave thing. It's really
but it's not the main point of the movie, anyways. It's more about he and his desire to come at odds, or how do you like to
come to terms,
to come to terms with him.
Yeah.
Himself, yeah.
What was I gonna say?
It's like Solaris.
Did you notice that there were quite a few just like in terms of like color grading, they did a lot of stuff that was very similar to was it Space Odyssey? Like when they were on Mars and that tunnel with like the red.
Yeah, the tunnel. I saw that. Yeah,
that was cool.
I would definitely gonna watch. I have to watch Space Odyssey once in a while, like every 2 years or so.
We're planning on watching at Astra again in English. Hopefully, I'm wondering if my experience will be different.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it in English because it's much more.
It'll be I'll see how, because I was watching, I think I got 90% of what was going on.
Yeah.
I did have to ask you a couple of times. I was like, what does this word mean? But
there were more dialogues than I thought, because this is also how media sometimes portray a movie. So I thought that is a movie about a guy totally silent looking for his father, but it's not right. Also, I read that is a very a movie that's very cold and what?
Well, his character actually doesn't speak to other people a lot. He's talking about his own feelings. A lot of it is very introspective, and it's a lot of narration on his part. If he didn't have the voiceovers, he's not really talking to anybody in this movie. He doesn't have a lot of lines.
But it's still how does it resonate to you? Who cares about if? I think,
no, I'm just saying it wasn't a dialogue based movie, but I think that they were very strategic in terms of what he was saying. I heard though that there's some people who didn't like the movie.
Could be, but it's a movie that probably it's the same Interstellar in the beginning wasn't liked, or I think Space Odyssey was hated. Look at the Wikipedia. People would leave the cinema, and now it's a classic. I don't know if it reaches that point, but I definitely see it as a good contribution.
Yeah.
And it has some. It's for me the most interesting element is this again going away from Earth, making it less from station to station habitable, difficult. You see the impacts of space travel, not through time like in Interstellar, but through the hardships of space and something like that. That is a very cool depiction. And also then the second component, this psychological journey, this mythical journey to his father with the pulses in the beginning getting to him, and so it has very cool different layers. I mean, we are discussing it for how long now? 1.5 hours. So we could probably tomorrow there's more that we could think about, or more scenes. And when we watch it again in maybe next week or so, we can also share some more thoughts on that. A
quick question: did it pass the Bechdel test?
Did it pass the Bechdel test? Wait, no, probably not.
No, it didn't.
No, probably not.
No, it didn't. We did have women.
But in Interstellar, it passes the Bechdel test, because the lady and his daughter, and then
who did she talk to?
Who did she talk to? I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it would pass the Bechdel test.
She has to talk to somebody.
I don't know. I really don't know. But I can imagine that Interstellar could pass it.
One thing I noticed that with Interstellar is that they put a lot of emphasis on, like with Hans Zimmer, he tends to have these very like heavy soundtracks. So like it's like this like boom kind of.
Yeah, Interstellar is more like a space opera, I think.
Yeah. Whereas I think this one,
It's calm. It's very like the music isn't so like
there is
Hans Zimmer is
yeah, there is music,
amazing,
but it's not like I guess like it's there, but I think there's also a lot of focus on more of like atmosphere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, like both are good movies. Another movie I was also thinking of was Moon with
Moon was
Sam
also
Rockwell.
Good. Yeah.
That was a good. I really like that
Looper,
movie.
Moon, also good. Good sci-fi.
Oh yeah,
movies.
Looper.
Looper.
That one was
Moon.
that one was like okay.
Yeah, Moon was really good. I really like that.
Yeah, that one I like.
But I haven't watched it in cinema, so I like.
I didn't watch it
sci-fi.
either. No, I watched it on DVD.
I still think you have to watch it on big screen. Like
Which one?
Sci-fi movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had, I really regret there was a premiere of Space Odyssey, like a director's cut or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the extended version, but I haven't watched it. But if they show it, sometimes they show these movies again. I would definitely watch it, or we can just watch it here.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, I just want to mention also, like, I'm sorry if I made people uncomfortable by pointing out all these race things. It's just something that, like, you know, once you, like, kind of are made aware of these things, like the whole horror movie black person dies trope, it's something that I just tend to, like, look for. Same with, like, the Bechdel test. Like, now that I'm aware of it, I tend to look for it. Of course, like...
it's just a part of the movie,
yeah,
or a part of your interpretation.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own interpretation, and I think it
was just
also
an
good
observation.
to point it out.
Yeah,
but I think here in that movie, it's like Brad Pitt. He did 12 Years a Slave. Like he did that movie.
No, I'm not saying saying that the movie is racist. I'm just saying that like there were like I think there's still a big presence of like the white male character is the lead role. And I'm not saying that people should force certain roles into like you have to have a colored person or it has to be a woman, because maybe that's just like not how it is. But it was just something that I noticed. That's all. I thought that it was good that there was more diversity in this movie. But no, it was just an observation that I made. Like even with like the jazz thing.
Jazz, yeah.
But I don't know, like I could be reading into it. It's like doing an English, like when you're doing a literary analysis class and you tend to just like.
Yeah, I think it's like, I keep saying like, we had it when you have literature classes, you have different theories. Like every theory is like your lens, you're looking through it.
Yeah.
So let's say you have, for instance, in the economics, you have got a certain system, and then you look through it through a lens. Or in politics, you've got a realistic lens, or it's called an idealistic lens. But then you have got a green lens or a gender lens, and then it's always like through that theory. For instance, one theory says, oh, the life is really harsh and brutal. One is more like life is peaceful and good. Then you interpret it through the lens. But I think it's good to have different lenses, so that you don't say everything is good or bad, or that you just know that you are looking through it with different lenses. It's always a good thing.
I did appreciate though that like this movie didn't really focus so much on like romantic relationships. Like of course you had him and his wife, but that was more of just like connecting to people. Whereas I know like in Interstellar you had like Anne Hathaway's character where she's just she's just like, I have to go to this planet because like my boyfriend might be there, and you're just like you're like, okay, like that's great, but I don't know, like I think I liked that in this movie. It was really just focusing on the really like your own mental process of like how you deal with these conflicts,
exactly,
and also how you deal with relationships with people like your family or just like people, your heroes, or like these fallen heroes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very nice, it's a good description. It's on heroism, if it's true heroism or not, if yeah, your idols, yeah, like this old father conflict that you have from Oedipus and all these ancient times, it's
Yeah.
still there. And I kept thinking about, because it's so minimalistic, it's not like a typical Hollywood movies with these like romantic, like you mentioned, like the lacking of romantic scenes.
Yeah.
So I think it was really cool because it has this focus on this kind of mythical question on this journey, and
Yeah.
it made you feel very like emotional, also connecting to yourself. I also was connecting with a lot of, like, kept thinking about my father and our relation, and
Yeah.
that's always what you have in these great movies, when it makes you think
Yeah.
through like the story, the music and everything. And yeah, I really appreciate
Yeah.
guys making still, like, there are these movies that have that have this existential question. It's very cool. And yeah, I hope tomorrow we probably have more thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Or we can maybe catch up on that.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to, as more time passes and as more people watch it, I think I'm gonna try to check out more reviews and see what other people pick up from the movie, because I feel like there are a lot of references I might have missed. But yeah, it was a really, really good movie. I think it's like I'm not really a type of person to be like, oh, this is movie of the year, but I do think it was a really good movie. I appreciate it. Maybe some people won't. Like, I think if you're like, I don't know, I feel like there are always genres for people, and for example, like, not everybody liked Interstellar, but we liked it.
I think mostly now it's established Interstellar was a masterpiece, because before also, like, the critics were like torn. Like, I remember first they were more leaning towards it's a bit cliche, or with this love and like this tesseract of love. But it's cool, like, why not? Like, it's still Hollywood. Interstellar has the emotions. This movie doesn't have directly these romantic connections.
It's very
it's more indirect.
Yes, I think it's a lot more.
It's clever in its own way.
It's more about dealing with your own demons, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas,
like dealing with
Interstellar was more of like fighting for your, I don't know.
Interstellar also, you see the Earth is much more devastated through these dust storms in the beginning.
Like, there's
also,
no more
it's also about heroism. Then, like, he is like Matthew McConaughey is like the best pilot. He has to do it. He has sacrifices.
Yeah.
And by the way, we always wanted to do a podcast on
like movies,
heroism.
Oh yeah, that's gonna come up.
That would be cool to talk about.
And hopefully they don't disappoint us.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I know that tends to happen. For example,
the more you learn about your heroes, the more
gosh.
you get disappointed, probably.
Yeah, like, we can get into it. Like, the first person that comes to mind is like Kevin Spacey, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah, but this one we should do that episode. It's so, like, that is so overdue, because
we definitely have some episodes that are coming up. Any last words before we close things off?
No, it's all out. It's
all out, says Tobias. Yeah, like, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And if you have made it this far into the podcast, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
and if you do see it, I would totally love to, like, hear what you think of it. I'm really thankful again. Like, my friends have been, like, telling me that they've been, like, and my family too. They've been telling me that they've been listening to the episodes, and that's awesome. And I would definitely like to hear what you guys think of the movie when you finally see it, or if you haven't seen it, then did you actually find? No, I'm wondering if I'm wondering if they were able to figure out what the story was, because, like, we kept
jumping, we kept having so many digressions, but we came from the movie, I don't know, like a couple of hours, and that's a good sign, because you have to sort your thoughts. And I think I don't
know. I think my honeymoon phase is already over. Like, it you know how, like, maybe I'll appreciate it more. But I think like first you walk out and you're like, whoa, I need to process it. And I think I was like, whoa, this is like crazy. But now I think I'm like, calm down. I've said the things that I've noticed, and I've said how I feel about it. So I'm good.
Yep.
Right. So if you want to find us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, find us on Spotify, your any like Google or any like podcasting platform. We would always love to hear your feedback. And yeah, I will talk to you next time. Tobias, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Tobias wants.
I'm about to go to sleep. It's so late in the evening, but it was still like amazing to do the podcast. And yeah, as always, we are looking forward to hearing from you guys.
And talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Hasta luego.